University. I wish the epidemic would be over and we would have this open house in the physical premises of Nazarbayev University, but unfortunately we need to do it in an online fashion. I am Atakan Varol, the Department Chair of Robotics. I am a founding faculty member of Nazarbayev University as well. I joined Nazarbayev University in 2011 and started the Department of Robotics then. Now it is a full-fledged research-intensive department of the university. Here you can see my email, ahvarol@nu.edu.kz. You can always contact me via email to ask any questions you want. And we can also schedule some individual meetings such that I can answer your questions in that meeting as well. So let me go to the next slide. So I will be starting my talk with the BSc program in robotics. It's a 4-year, 240 ECTS credit program. And robotics is a multidisciplinary field that utilizes mechanical, electrical, computer, and intelligent systems engineering in order to design and manufacture high-tech systems, such as industrial robots, autonomous cars, electrical cars, medical devices, robotic surgical devices, and robotic prostheses. And robotics is an exploding field. It's on the verge of rapid growth, driven by both supply and demand. So right now, the technology is at a level that we can create very capable robotic devices in industry and also for our regular lives. And many of the aging societies demand these type of solutions. And our department is one of the earliest departments in the whole world who offered a robotics BS program, undergraduate program. Before, now we just have many examples of robotics BS programs, but this was mainly a graduate area. In our department, students acquire both a very strong theoretical education and also practical skills thanks to our laboratory infrastructure and project components of our program. And so far, our robotics students had very good career prospects. They either continued their education in the top universities around the world or at Nazarbayev University, or they continued their careers at top companies globally or also in Kazakhstan. The first year of the robotics program shares the common core of Nazarbayev University. So basically, you will be studying calculus, mathematics, physics, and programming, along with some social science courses such as history of Kazakhstan and rhetoric and composition. So I should point out that in the recent years, robotics has shifted very much towards computer science, and programming and computer science skills became extremely important. In the second year, you will be taking courses from the 3 main disciplines which constitute robotics: mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science. Specifically, you will take a course on mechanics, system dynamics, electrical and electronic circuits, signals and sensing, and also microcontrollers. In addition, mathematics is a very strong part of robotics because all the developments we do are based on mathematical concepts, and therefore you will advance your mathematics with linear algebra and differential equations courses. When you start the 3rd year of your program, you are starting to take the real robotics courses with very interesting laboratory and project components. So for instance, you take mechanical design with computer-aided design and machining laboratory, where you will learn how to design robot parts and then go to the machining workshop to produce them. Then you are taking a linear control theory such that you learn how to design the brains of the robots. You take additional mathematics courses, you take some natural science electives, and you just learn in the electromechanical systems course how the actuators of the robots work, such as electrical motors or linear actuators or voice coils. And you take the course robot kinematics and dynamics. This way, you learn when you create the physical structure of a robot and when you just generate some type of commands for it, how it will just move itself. Here we have revised our curriculum and include the research method course such that our students are better prepared for the graduate studies, which more than half of them choose to do after they finish. In the 4th year of your curriculum, you just have robotics 2, where we have incorporated the new areas of robotics related to artificial intelligence and computer science. These are the control, modeling, and learning parts. Then the 2-semester long culminating design experience, which is team-based, which we are naming as a graduation project, starts in this semester. And this is a 2-semester process. And at the end of this process, some of our students just choose to create their own startup companies and become technical entrepreneurs. In the 2nd semester of the 4th year, you also take a dedicated course on robotic mechatronic system design. So this constitutes roughly our 4-year curriculum in robotics. In addition to these courses, our students can take a number of technical electives such as embedded systems, power electronics, industrial automation, image processing, and so on and so forth. Besides the BS program, we have an extremely popular MSc in robotics, which is a 2-year, 120 ECTS credit program with a thesis component, which is a research-based program. And if you want to conduct very deep robotics research and become a researcher or academician in the future, you can choose the robotics program in a Robotics Engineering PhD program, which is a 4-year, 240 ECTS credit program, where the first year is dedicated to coursework, and after passing the qualifying exam, you just conduct research in the laboratory of a faculty member. So if I would just consider robotics department, what are the strengths of it? The strengths of it is the research active faculty members of the department. Our faculty members have research grants, research laboratories, and they incorporate our students to these projects and publish top-notch publications and conduct very high-end research projects. And if you would join our department, you will be a part of this effort as well, even at the undergraduate level, because many undergraduate students come to our department and spend their summers doing internships in these research laboratories. Of course, you might choose to do internship at other companies as well in Kazakhstan and also abroad. So here's a list of our faculty members. I very strongly recommend you, especially if you are here for graduate studies, to check the research websites and also scientific profiles of these faculty members and find someone who has similar research interests to you. And as you can see, all of our faculty members are having their PhDs from top-notch research universities around the world, like United States, United Kingdom, Italy, and South Korea. Here are some of the graduate study destinations where our robotics students go after finishing their Bachelor of Science studies. For instance, we have University of Waterloo, Technical University of Munich, National University of Singapore, Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, Vanderbilt University in the United States, and ETH Zurich in Switzerland. So basically, if you join this program for BS or MS and then study well and join faculty research, you might end up in one of these top-notch universities yourself as well. But some of our students do not want to continue their studies and they choose to work locally or globally for some companies. Some examples are listed here, but this list is actually much longer than this. For instance, we have autonomous driving engineers working in BMW in Germany, machine learning engineer working in Google, software engineer working in Booking.com, production engineer working in Procter & Gamble in Germany, and another software engineer in Facebook. Similarly, in Kazakhstan, our robotics graduates are working as research engineers, production engineers, automation engineers in companies such as Alstom, Tulpar Talgo, Kagok, or BI Construction. Nazarbayev University has an excellent research and teaching infrastructure, and among all departments, robotics has, in my opinion, the best laboratories. For instance, here you see our general purpose teaching laboratory. For undergraduate students, when the epidemic is not there, they spend approximately 12 hours to 15 hours every week in this laboratory. There are lots of high-performance workstations with advanced computer-aided design software and lots of tools which we use for robotics for creating embedded systems such as oscilloscopes, power supplies, and function generators. And we also have our robot manipulator laboratory, which our students are configuring based on their projects, and then they do different types of robotic projects. We also use very heavily 3D printing because instead of machining something out of metal, it is much easier and faster to prototype using 3D printing. And in all of the courses, our students have access to these systems such that they can create research prototypes and teaching prototypes. But we also use classical machining techniques, and we teach this to our students. So we have a machining workshop. But we also utilize the very advanced machining workshop of Nazarbayev University Technopark, which has 5-axis CNC machines and very big laser cutters. Similarly, in order to prototype electronic circuits, we have an electronics workshop where we can print our own circuit boards and create embedded systems. And we teach in our electrical circuits and electronics courses these type of skills to our students. So basically, when you finish your studies with the Nazarbayev University Robotics Department, you become a robotics engineer who has the ability to design the physical structure of a robot, create the electronic circuitry required to actuate that robot, and also write the code for that embedded system such that the robot does intelligent tasks. In addition to that, we have a state-of-the-art intelligent manufacturing laboratory, the so-called Industry 4.0 laboratory, which is basically modeling a small factory where our students are learning latest industrial devices, protocols, software, and approaches. We also have our motion capture laboratory, which is used in very many fields, such as making movies and also doing rehabilitation robotics, where individuals are walking in an area with cameras and their motions are registered. And in our graduate level courses, we teach how to use the system to our students as well. In addition to this, as I told before, due to the incredible advances in artificial intelligence, robotics utilizes AI and machine learning, specifically deep learning, very much. And in order to be able to create deep learning systems for robotics, you just need very powerful computers. And in Nazarbayev University, we have NVIDIA DGX AI supercomputers. And in our machine learning courses, in our graduate level courses, in our image processing courses, we teach our students how to create deep learning models and how to train them using these servers. So only very few universities in the world have this type of infrastructure open to their BS and MS and PhD students. Now I will give you a glimpse to our robotics faculty research. However, you might get much better information if you will go to the laboratory websites of our faculty members and visit the different research projects yourselves. For instance, our faculty member, Professor Berdak Abdullayev, works on brain-machine interfaces. Our brain creates electrical signals and sends it to our muscles. And through these electrical signals, we are moving our body. Of course, for people who have a stroke or other type of health problems, this might not work and the person might not be able to move his hands or legs. So it is possible to acquire that information from the brain using brain-machine interfaces. And in robotics department, we are conducting research on that area. For instance, a person who has paraplegia, cannot move his legs and arms, can send signals to a wheelchair through the brain-machine interface. And by processing these signals, we can figure out what type of command he or she wants to give to the machine. In our department, we are also conducting humanoid robotics research. Specifically, Professor Michele Folger-Reiter creates these humanoid robots and then utilizes neuromorphic control to control these systems. What is neuromorphic control? Neuromorphic control is creating some type of neural network, very similar to what we have in our brains, in order to control this robot. How will the robot will move its joints such that it can create the walking motion? This sounds simple, and we just do this unconsciously every day, but creating those signals for a robot is very hard. And one way of doing that is neuromorphic control. We have also a Lattice Laboratory in our department, which works on very interesting projects, for instance, on smart automation. Here, some type of cyber glove is providing references for robots operatically. There are other projects where our faculty members are creating some type of specialized mechanisms using computer-aided design. We have also a laboratory which is creating tactile sensors for robots. Professor Janat Kappasov specifically utilizes soft materials and light in order to design new type of sensors. So these type of sensors can act like a skin on a robot hand and can softly conform to the surfaces and can interact and provide information to the robot, very similar to how we are sensing with our fingers. So all of these prototypes are being built mainly with our undergraduate students and also graduate students in our laboratories. Our faculty members are also, specifically Professor Anara Sandiglova, conducting research on human-robot interaction. In the future, robots will be all around us, and already in some countries, such as Japan, they have this robot, which is from Soft Robots company, that is interacting with human beings. And we need to figure out different ways of interaction between humans and robots. So here, the research being conducted is activity recognition, dementia assessment, sign language interpretation for robots, and social robots for education. When we go to the devices side, in robotics, we are using electrical motors very frequently. And one of our faculty members, Professor Tandukto, conducts research on electrical drives. And he also conducts research on renewable energy conversion, because an electrical motor and electrical generator is simply the same things. In one case, we are providing electrical current and generate some type of motion. In the other case, some rotary motion generates some type of electrical current. And all of those wind turbines or other electrical machinery are energy conversion systems which are creating that type of motion to create electrical current. And how to do it in the most optimal way possible is being researched by our faculty members. I just gave you a very brief glimpse to our robotics department's programs and research. And you can always contact me by writing an email to ahvarol@nu.edu.kz. If you can enter to our campus, you can always visit me in my office. But since we are right now living in an online world, you can always contact me and we can schedule some type of online meeting where I can provide you further information and answer your questions. But for your questions, the best time is right now. So I would be very happy to answer those now. Thank you.
Dear professors, thank you very much for the presentation. It was really interesting to see the projects that you're having and of course to know more about the programs. I think it's important for those who are applying. Dear participants, you can ask your questions, you can turn on your mic and ask it, or write your question in the chat box. I will send here in the chat box the main pages that you can use to find out information about the admission requirements. And if you still will have the questions, please ask it. Okay.
Aycan Okasova. Yes, of course, I can just tell about PhD, but I will do something better. I will bring here a PhD student, and that will work, I guess, better. So Nazarbayev University Robotics Department has a very nice research facility, and all of our faculty members have a very active research laboratories. And when you conduct PhD in Nazarbayev University, You will be taking courses in the first year such that you just get a background in robotics or fine-tune your background for the specific research project you want to conduct. And at the end of the first year, you will take an exam which measures your knowledge of robotics. And after finishing that exam and after passing that, you will only conduct research for the remaining 3 years. You will first learn how to conduct research. You will just come up with a PhD topic with your faculty advisor. And afterwards, you will just write a research proposal in which I want to advance the field of robotics in this using this project. I want to specifically apply this type of methods because the research group from this university did that, research group from this university did this, and now we can do this and advance the field. And in order to show that you have done something useful, we require you to write a publication, you as the first author, in a high quality journal. And you will be publishing your paper, and at the end, you will defend your PhD thesis in front of a committee. This will contain both examiners who have not interacted with you during your PhD process, and there will be also your advisory team as well. And then you will have a PhD. After having a PhD at Nazarbayev academic career as a faculty member anywhere you want, or you can just join a company as a research scientist or engineer, or you can just become a technical entrepreneur. For instance, one of the PhD students who finished the robotics PhD program is right now working as a faculty member in Norway. So Janat will join you shortly. She is conducting PhD under my supervision, working on augmented reality, and her research was so interesting and she did it so well that she recently was awarded one of the very few Microsoft Research Fellowships in the world for 2022. So basically in Nazarbayev University, you can conduct PhD and your research quality would be recognized by the top tech company in the world, and it will be awarded with a fellowship. She will come shortly and then she can tell more about that. So Bavurcan, I will answer your question, but let us give the stage to Janat, where she can just talk 5 minutes about her experience as a BS, MS, and now PhD student at Nazarbayev University, what type of research she does, whether she likes it or not, and how did she get the Microsoft PhD fellowship. Janat, can you speak for a couple of minutes?
Yes. Hi to everyone.
So, by the way, sorry to interrupt. This is exactly the environment where will you be if you are a PhD student. As you can see, this is how a laboratory works. There are robots everywhere, sensors everywhere, and computers everywhere, and also PhD students. Sorry to interrupt, Janat. Now the stage is yours.
Yes. Currently, I'm on a PhD. I'm in my third year of PhD, and I work with augmented reality technologies. And specifically, I use augmented reality and artificial intelligence in order to prepare systems that can augment human memory and perception. It's very interesting, actually. I'm in my third year. However, I started learning augmented reality in robotics when I came to masters at NU. So I started during the first year of masters this study on augmented reality. This was the fourth laboratory that I came actually during masters, because I was spending my time in different laboratories trying to find what is interesting for me. I think this is amazing about the Department of Robotics, that we have quite a small department, and we have a chance to visit any laboratories that we would like to work. We can approach our faculty members, professors, talk with them, and say like, I'm interested in this thing, can I try to work with you? And if after some time, for example, like in my case, after 2 months, I understand that, for example, studying motors is not that funny for me. And I switched the topic to brain-machine interface, and I understand that, okay, it's too hard for me. And then I was like searching myself. This was a very nice opportunity for me to find the exactly one thing that is very interesting for me, such that I can focus. So I was very lucky to do so. Also, I did my bachelor at NU in robotics as well. So I was very happy because, for example, we had a whole department and only 32 students in first year, for example. And of course, we had quite a lot of attention from our professors. Um, each student has, for example, if we don't understand something, we were able to visit office hours. We were able to approach the professors, and they could explain us more if we don't understand something. Also, a very good thing about robotics is that for example, we have lectures and we get some theory, but after that we get the labs. For example, in 1 week, you have 6 hours of laboratories, which is amazing. For example, 3 hours you can work with your um, peers under the supervision of some lab assistant or teacher assistant, and you can make some uh, for example, it depends on the course. For example, if you get the course of microcontrollers, then you're able to work with Arduino, and you can program everything. So it is an amazing that you get the theory, but at the same time, you get the practice. This is really amazing. So um, you, for example, learn some programming, but at the same time, you apply your programming skills, programming the real stuff, real microcontrollers, real robots, real motors, not robots but motors, because uh, when in robotics department we don't have the ready robot, because we do it by ourselves. For example, some mechanisms. Mm, so yeah, this was very nice because and actually the curriculum in robotics is very interesting. In the first year, you'll get the course, like in my case, Introduction to Robotics, which was very funny. During the school years, I've never had this type of course. This was very exciting for me. So this was my experience of 10 years of education at Nazarbayev University. Um, so um, Currently, I'm a PhD student who really loves the topic on which I am working. Therefore, I can stay at 7 p.m. in the laboratory and work, um, because when you come to the PhD level, or at least in the master's level as well, you spend like half of your lifetime in the laboratory. So it's better to choose the laboratory that you like, the research environment that you like, the people that you like, and um, yeah, it's very important. So if you have some
Thank you very
questions, I
much,
can
Janat.
answer. Yeah.
I will answer the students' questions, but if you have any specific questions to Janat, please ask right now. If not, I very sincerely thank Janat for being such a great PhD student and also joining our session today. Thank you, Janat.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting.
All right. Now, I will answer the questions of our prospective students. What would you recommend to undergraduate students to study ahead of time to succeed if possible? Some external resources which would help, maybe, for example. So, Baurjan, you don't have to study anything related to robotics if you want to come and join our program. If you will be joining for an undergraduate program, what you need is a very strong mathematics and physics background And also, in addition to that, good English skills. If you have this skill set, which is incidentally what you will be measured in your admissions as well, then you will succeed in your studies with us. But the most important thing we want from you is your attitude. You should take your studies seriously, because in robotics, we study aspects of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer engineering. And at the end, you end up becoming someone who can create intelligent devices. But that requires spending lots of time in the laboratory, spending lots of time learning those things. If you do not study well, if you do not just spend lots of time, then you will learn those things only superficially, and you will not become a very good robotics engineer. Therefore, what we want is some type of serious commitment to excel in robotics, and along with mathematics, physics, and English skills. Now, Baurcan, if you have additional questions, you can write. And let me go to the Mr. Aydar's question. Do robotics specialists handcraft a lot? Like, yes. Look, Aydar, in order to be a good roboticist, you need to be a good thinker and good tinkerer. Tinker is someone who makes watches. You just tinker with things. So if you are very good in both of that, then you will be an excellent roboticist and you will succeed. Because tinkering can be both with physical things and also with computer codes as well. Because computer codes, once you look from the robotics perspective, is just a continuation of the physical world. For me, there is a continuous spectrum of the physical robots, then the electronics, and then the code. So all of it is tinkering and handcraft. And yes, you will need to do a lot. We have a great course, which is mechanical design, machine design with computer-aided design and machining laboratory, where in that course, you will just learn how to use the SolidWorks software. You will design some robot parts, do some type of finite element analysis such that you design it strong but lightweight. And afterwards, you will just go to the machining workshop and create that part. Because then you will understand that I can design something excellent inside the computer, but if it is not physically realizable through some machining process, it is not useful. So all of this is something which you can only learn by doing. And in robotics, we will hopefully provide you that experience such that you will become good robotics engineers. Because many times in university education, one of the weaknesses is that students do not experience these type of processes, and they experience it for the first time when they do the real job, and sometimes they fail. Here we have designed our curriculum specifically to overcome those type of issues, and we are also fine-tuning it, making it better every year based on the feedback of our graduates. So, for instance, some graduate of year for 2016 writes me an email, Professor Varol, do you know that homework you gave for image processing course? I did the same thing in my job today, and it was so easy, and thank you for teaching that. Or another one tells that, Professor Varol, I work in Japan right now, and we are not doing anything related to the Siemens programmable logical controllers. Why did you not teach us Mitsubishi ones? And then we basically make some fine tuning. In the course, we are just showing both the Siemens and also Mitsubishi such that that student can, his feedback is incorporated to the studies. So that is the answer to Mr. Aydar's question. And hello, what kind of academic and non-academic activities should we mention to strengthen our personal statement? All right. In your personal statement, the most important thing is that you show that you are passionate about robotics. So if you just write there that you are interested in robotics because you always wanted to create some rehabilitation robotics devices because one of your uncles had lost one of his legs, that would be something strong. Because, for instance, one of my relatives, due to polio, had some type of disability. And I always wanted to create robotic devices which will solve the problems of those peoples with disabilities. And at the end, life brought me to the laboratory where I created the first robotic lower limb prosthesis in the world. So in that context, write what you are passionate about in robotics, and somehow karma is something very interesting thing. You might end up doing that during your studies. But secondly, you need to show that you are a serious person. What does that mean? For instance, if you just write a personal statement, which you can write in 15 minutes without putting any thought in it, then we will understand that during the admissions process. We will tell that, hey, this guy just wrote it in 15 minutes and he did not put very much time. And you want to just enter to the top university in the country and you compete with the best students in the country. So theoretically, you need to show that you are a hardworking and serious person. Therefore, put some amount of time in writing to that. For instance, if you would have silly grammatical mistakes in your personal statement, that's something very negative, which shows that A, either you are not serious, you just wrote that, you did not even read it once afterwards, or B, your English skills are not very good. And if you are doing MS and PhD studies, English is very important. Why? Because the whole language of science today is English. Whenever we write a paper, we write it in English language. And you might be the best technical mind of that cohort, but if you cannot write a paper, the professors will not like to work with you, because then they will just need to spend enormous amount of time to write papers as the result of research with you. So in that context, you need to show that you have good writing skills in that personal statement, because that IELTS examination results do not disclose everything. And many times we just look to the personal statement of the person to see the writing level. So in that context, write it nicely and show that you are passionate about robotics. Why do you want to study this thing? How will you make yourself a better person or make the world a better place by studying robotics? Okay. Any other questions?
Dear Professor,
Right.
could I ask, we received some questions regarding the background. So is it important to have the previous studies in engineering, or it's important to, for example, if a person is applying for the graduate programs? So could you please disclose?
Right. Okay. It's a very good question. So for master and PhD programs, you must have a technical degree. So what does this mean? You might have possibly studied mechanical, electrical, and computer engineering to study a robotics MS or PhD program. But previously, we have had extremely successful graduates of our MS program, which continued their education in very good universities in Canada, etc., who had physics and mathematics BS studies. So in that context, if you have studied management, no, I don't recommend you to come and study robotics. But if you have studied something technical, but not that relevant for robotics, still you can study. So specifically, you need to just have a mathematical mind. You should just be able to program to some extent, and the rest you can learn during your studies. For instance, I have a number of data scientists working with me, and the best data scientist, one of the best data scientists we have, is a civil engineer. And I said that, like, you're a civil engineer, but how are you so good in that? He told that I see everything technical related to each other. So for me, civil engineering or data science doesn't matter. It is just a technical problem. So any other questions?
Please, thank you. I saw some raised hand. You can ask me questions by using the microphone, dear participants.
I have been to universities more or less everywhere in the world. Wherever you would have good universities, Korea, Japan, Singapore, China, any European country, and in a North American country as well. And I can state that Nazarbayev University provides one of the best set of opportunities for BS and graduate students. So especially for bachelor students, all of the things with complete coverage of all the tuition fees and scholarships is unparalleled more or less anywhere in the world. And in addition to this, in departments such as robotics, the student to faculty ratio is low, and you can just approach faculty members very easily and talk about research, ask things which you did not understand during class, and this is a very significant plus. Abedzenmi Kayode Oluwaseyi. Okay, I guess this person is not from Kazakhstan, maybe from Nigeria or Ghana. But yes, we have had a number of international students. Indeed, I supervised a very smart Gambian student, Sheikh Jarju, and he had a scholarship which was for international students. Yes, if you're international students, apply, and you will have a fair chance to get accepted. However, again, I should state that these are competitive processes. So you need to have a good IELTS score, good GPA, write a very good personal statement, and then we will consider your application. And there will be scholarships. In addition to the scholarships, many of our graduate students are hired as research assistants during their studies. And this way they get paid from a faculty member's research grant, and they have an additional amount of income. Not a huge amount, but definitely good. What is the number of international students for master's programs? Just right now, we don't have any Nigerian MS students in our program, but in our university, we have more than 100 international students, and a sizable chunk is from Nigeria because our provost, Ilesami Adesida, is originally from Nigeria. I guess therefore our university is very popular among Nigerian students. But we have many international students from Uzbekistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and Kyrgyzstan as well. For instance, in this year's cohort, I have a Bangladeshi and one Kyrgyzstani student as international students in my class. Do you have any international internship during PhD program? Aycan, we don't have officially an internship incorporated to the PhD program, but you are more than welcome to conduct an internship during your PhD program. For instance, the PhD student which you have seen was awarded a Microsoft Research Fellowship, which is a significant amount of money to support your research, and also it comes with a 12-week summer internship in one of the research campuses of Microsoft, I think in her case in London. So in that case, if you find a good internship, your faculty members will of course always support you. What Nazarbayev University brings you to support your internship search is our faculty members are very highly connected. So for instance, I am considered a quite good roboticist, and I know many other good roboticists around the world. And when I write a recommendation letter to a student who conducts research with me, their chances of getting accepted to those good internships or other research programs gets higher. And so is all of our faculty members. They are world-renowned experts of their fields. Mr. Kingsley Ikechukwu. Hello, how do one apply for graduate assistantship? Must one be a student before applying? Yes, you just basically come, that depends on at which level you want to join Nazarbayev University. When you join at PhD level, you might spend your first year as a graduate teaching assistant, and then you are expected to find a PhD, a research assistantship. However, if you are a MS student, you can contact the faculty members beforehand and tell that I will be starting my studies at Nazarbayev University. Can I join your laboratory? And most probably they will interview you. And after you become a student, you can become a research assistant with one of our faculty members' project. So, but you cannot become a research assistant before. Any other questions?
Yeah. I shared the link with the statistics where you can find the average GPA of our admitted students year by year, and I think it could be useful. Any other questions? You can ask the questions regarding the admissions also.
Right, I guess we have answered all the possible questions. That in Kazakhstan it's getting quite late.
Yes, thank you very much for your time, dear participants. First of all, dear professor, thank you very much for sharing us this interesting and useful presentation. So let me, yes, you can apply from any country. You just need to meet the requirements, and we have the same process of admissions for the scholarship or for paid, for discounts. So it's the same road, the same list. You should pass at all this procedure to fill in your personal account on admissions portal. And after it, you will find out the decision of the committee. So let me send you here our email. If you will have any questions, please contact us. Okay, question regarding the admission process. If you had your studies in English language, you don't need to submit the TOEFL or IELTS results. You just need to upload the document that approves that you had the studies in English. So usually transcript shows it, or some of our applicants upload the document like just saying that you had all your courses in English language. Okay, any other questions? Last minute questions. Yes, you will be considered, but you need to upload this document. So this document should prove that you had the studies in English language.
And I would like to interject here. Your chances for admission will be higher if you show a very good TOEFL score. You understand? Basically, that is an additional piece of evidence that you are an excellent student. So if you have a very good TOEFL score or IELTS score, even though you had your studies in English, include that, and that would increase your chances.
Yes, it's really important. Okay. So let me again thank all the participants, dear Janat, dear professor. Thank you very much for your time, for finding your time in the evening. Dear participants, hope to see you among our students. So have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.